So last day we had done chapter number 1 of class 10 NCERT, that was Letter to God, and today I'm here with chapter number 2, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Okay, so this is not a story. Chapter number 2 is not any story, but it is an autobiography. First of all, you should know what is the meaning of autobiography. Autobiography means when somebody writes his own story or details of his own life. So when one writes his life's story, then that is called as autobiography by the same person. Suppose I write about myself, that where I born, and then how I studied, whatever things I have done in my life. So it will be my autobiography. So here we are reading Nelson Mandela's autobiography, which is a book, and the name of that book is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. This is the name of the book written by himself, Nelson Mandela. His full name is Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Before reading the chapter, there is one very important word that you should know meaning of. So the word is apartheid. Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Race means, in Hindi we can say jati. So when people are divided according to their birth, where they have taken birth, in which kind of religion, that is called as his race. It can be not only religion, sometimes it is based on their color, based on their skin, or their position in the society. So all these are called as race. So here the word is apartheid. What is apartheid? It is a political system of separating people from one to another on the basis of their races. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? So there are three names: United States of America, South Africa, and Australia. So do you know which had this apartheid system there? You are going to get the answer in this chapter. Till that time you should guess what is the answer. So here are some more questions for you. I am not reading them. Now I will go directly to, there is a news. Okay, it is important for us to read because it is related to the chapter only. In this extract from his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, an occasion which took place in his life, and that was very important for him. So he has expressed his feelings, what he felt that time, that is given here in detail. We are going to read that one. And what was that historical occasion? That was the inauguration. Inauguration means when something is being started. So some auspicious thing took place that time, and that is there. Can you guess what the occasion might be? What I was asking you, it's the same question. Check your guess with this news item from the BBC of 10 May 1994. So here is the report. Nelson Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. This was the event, the historical event which took place. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. 1 century contains 100 years. So about 3 centuries means 300 years. After 300 years, somebody who was black colored, black complexions person became president of South Africa. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress ANC party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections in South Africa's history. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today. attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. When Nelson Mandela was addressing the people, the dignitaries, that time, he has said these lines. Jubilant scene on the street of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites, and coloreds celebrating together. More than 100,000 South African men, women, and children of all races sang and danced with joy. This was a great event took place in the history of South Africa because before it only white people were at the high position, and this was the first time after 3 centuries that a black complexioned person could become a president, who was none other than Nelson Mandela. Now here is an activity where you have to match. Some phrases are given on your left, and in column B meaning of those are given. So let's do it because these will be useful for us in the chapter. What is the meaning of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations? So I'm going to read out all the meanings of it, and whichever is suited to it, I'll answer that. It's a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations, which can be. Okay, I'm reading out all. A great ability, almost unimaginable to remain unchanged by suffering. No, it can be. A half secret life. No. A sign of human feeling. No. A beautiful coming together of various people like colors in rainbow. Yes, this is suited one. So number one's answer is this one. A beautiful coming together of various people like the colors of a rainbow. Next phrase is the seat of white supremacy. It is the next one, the center of racial supremacy. Third, be overwhelmed with a sense of history. Next one, it can be, yes, feeling deeply emotional, remembering and understanding all the past events that have led up to the moment. Number 4, resilience that defies the imagination. It is, okay, I'm going to the next one, a resilience that defies the imagination. A great ability, yes, this one, a great ability, almost unimaginable, to remain unchanged by suffering, not losing hope, goodness, or courage. This is answer number 4. Now, number 5 is a glimmer of humanity, which is related to human, yes, a sign of human feeling, goodness, kindness, pity, justice, etc. And last one, a twilight existence. So whichever is left, a twilight existence means a half secret life, like a life lived in the fading light between sunset and darkness. So here we have done it. Now let us start the chapter. 10th May, dawn bright and clear. Dawn bright and clear means beginning of the day of 10th May was with the sunlight, brightness of the sunlight, and the sky was clear. It was not cloudy. It was full of hope and light. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. So this is the day when Nelson Mandela took oath and became the president of South Africa for the first time. At that time, on that day, what he was feeling, so he was surrounded. Besieged means to be surrounded closely by. So he was surrounded by dignitaries. Dignitaries means those who are at high position. So people were around him, dignitaries and leaders were all around him, and they were there to pay their tribute or respect to Mandela. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. It was the first time that so many people had come together in South Africa's soil, means on the land of South Africa, as this event was so auspicious for everyone. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings of Pretoria. So Pretoria is the place where in the amphitheatre, which is in the Union Building. So what is amphitheatre? It is a building without a roof. It is open from the top with many rows of seats rising in steps, typically in ancient Greece and Rome. Just like we can see in when in the stadium, cricket stadium, you can see that it is surrounded by people. People sit there on their seat step by step, and it is open from upside. So that is called as amphitheater. So this kind of place was there where he had to take oath, and the ceremony was taking place in that amphitheater. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. And now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Before this day, that place was always seated and covered, surrounded by only white people. And this was the first time it was visible that not only white but colored. There were different colors around them, around him, around Nelson Mandela in that amphitheater. White or black complexion person, people from other countries, and there were many people gathered there to see or to witness that occasion. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zinani on the podium. Podium is the it's a kind of place on which the mic is set and the person use it to stand behind the podium and give his or her speech. So Nelson Mandela was escorted with his daughter, her name is Zinani, to the podium. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. So these are the names who came there and took oath, who gave their speeches, and who sworn. Sworn means to take oath. And then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to a well-being of the republic and its people. Then afterward, his turn was there. So Nelson Mandela took a pledge, and his pledge was that he will devote himself for his country, for his constitution. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, what he said, it is line by line written here, and I'm going to read it all. Today, all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of the extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We, who were outlaws not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. So, this was the speech given by Nelson Mandela before taking the pledge. And what does it mean? It means that he was addressing all the people standing or sitting there. He says that we all confer here, means here we all are present to give hope to the new liberty. It was the birth of liberty, means freedom on that land, because before it there were racial system of apartheid, because of which many people could not survive their life with freedom. They all were like, their life was like slave. So here he says that this is the newborn liberty, and we are going to experience something new in our life which on this land has never taken place, and that was the glory of humanity. And he felt proud of it. Not only he says that all the people of that land, they were so much proud of that moment, that this has taken place there. And then he says that the whole world is witnessing this, and this day is not the day for his victory, but it was the victory of mankind. Why it is a victory of mankind? Because that was a day of justice. It was the victory of justice. As I said earlier, white people used to torture dark people, dark complexion people. So that was injustice by one person to another. And here, after this day, this apartheid system was no more in South Africa, and everybody had equality within them. So that was the victory of justice, peace, and human dignity. Human dignity means respect for each and every human being. And at last he says that yes, we are happy that we could achieve this. We have achieved a platform where all the people are equal. They will be treated equal politically. So he pledged to bring no discrimination on that on that land for the next all the years which will come to them. It's not only by Nelson Mandela or only the thing that he had to carry, but he had created or he had eradicated one system which was non-racial system, that was apartheid. And after the eradication of this, there was only one thing, that was liberty of humanity. So all people were free to survive there with their own willingness. All right. So here the meaning of this speech, what he meant. And at the end of his speech, he says that let freedom reign, let freedom be there for on this land forever. And with this, he says, God bless Africa. The speech continued more, but in your book, it's in the chapter, only this much speech is given, and then what is written afterward. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union building. The Union building where that ceremony was taking place, he, after some moment, after the pledge was over, he could witness the spectacular moment, and his with awestruck. Not only he, everybody was looking to the sky. What they saw there? They find there a spectacular array. Array means a line. How they were lined up. Who were lined up there? So South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers means soldiers. All of them were showing, they were making different kind of formation to show their liberty, to show their power to the president. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. According to Mandela, that was the perfection. But the aim of that jet or all the display was not only displaying perfection to the president, but they were doing it to show that they were loyal to their country, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before the higher generals of the South African Defence Force and police, the chairs bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. So all of the people, whether they were the police officers, whether they were the army officers or other dignitaries, all of them saluted Mandela as President of South Africa to show their loyalty. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. At this moment, he remembers that a few years back, Mandela was never saluted but he was arrested by these military officers because of his ideology, which was just against the government present then, means in early time, before that day. So he was not unmindful, means he was aware of it. Finally, a caravan of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue and gold of the new South African flag. And the new South African flag was displayed on the sky with different colors of smoke by the militarians. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of white singing. I might be wrong here in the pronunciation, that is Troki Sikalil, which is Africa, and black singing die stem, the old anthem of the republic. So there were two kind of national anthems sang by them. One which was used by them as a black, not black, the people who were white and their government had made for Africa, and a new anthem was prepared for this precious day to be sung not only today but after all by the dark one. So there were two anthems played by them or sang by them, and none of them knew their meaning. So the old anthem of the republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despite they would soon know the words by heart. As I said, none of them knew what they were singing. They were just singing because it was told to them. But he believes, Nelson Mandela believes that after some time they will understand lyrics of it and not only learn, they will not only by heart them, but they will understand them also. One of the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. Then he remembers something that took place in the history. In the fourth decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned people of South Africa passed up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their bases, of their own land. So he remembers what was happening in the history even before the birth of Nelson Mandela, that how white complexion people. They were torturing black complexion people, and what were happening with them. Then what happens after that? The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest means very tough, harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. According to Mandela, that system which was going on in South Africa, that was the harshest system which was anywhere in the world that time and even now. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own eighth decade means 80 years, he was about 80 years old. Eighth decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all people. So instead of apartheid, there was a new law, and the law contains rights and freedom of all the citizens. Through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people whose sufferings and courage can never be counted or repaid. He feels that this freedom was achieved by the sacrifice of many people. Many people have sacrificed themselves for the goodness of their country, for the progress of their country. But and that sacrifice cannot be counted at how many had died for his nation, or even that sacrifice cannot be repaid to them. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. He says that it is not only today but many days before also I used to think the same, that people had sacrificed themselves for their land. And he is again remembering the same thing. That long and novel line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what the sacrifices had wrought. Here, what means done or achieved. So he regrets it. First of all, he is happy that all the sacrifices had really brought that success, why they have lost their life. So that day had come. It was the day where the sacrifice was there to pay them the tribute or pay them the good result, the result for which they had died for the country. And that was freedom from apartheid system. So it was a happy moment for him. At the same time, he regrets that, oh, they could not see that the achievement which was today, which was successfully achieved today. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country, in my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. So it was very hurting thing for not only him but all the people of that land, all Africans who were earlier they were discriminated and they had to lose so many things. All of them are unhappy and it had given them wound in their heart. So it's not that in one day they will just forget everything, but it will take many years for them. If not generations, at least it will take many years for them to recover from their wound. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisolas, and Chief Lutiliers, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bran Fishers, the Robert Sobukways of our time. Men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that the like may never be known again. So these were the name of some people who had sacrificed or who had fought to get that achievement, get that freedom from apartheid, from that discrimination. Perhaps it requires such depth of oppression to create such heights of character. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. Now he gives the details why one can be proud of his country. So, being a South African, he says that my country has profound minerals and gems for which we are proud of it. But I have always known that greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamond. Not only he, but for any country, the most important thing are the people, are the citizen of that country. So he says that the people of our country, they are the real wealth. They are even more important or more precious than diamond. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. He says that I have learned from these people, these comrade means the group of people who were fighting against the illegal things done with the people, with the poor people. So he says that I am proud of them and I have learned a lot from them. And time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their life for an idea. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. I learned the courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. He expresses that what he has learned. He says that I have learned that it is not the courage which is in the absence of fear. When somebody is not fearful, we cannot say that person is courageous. But we can say that this man has courage only when he has victory over that fear. And that he has learned from all those people. The brave man is not, okay, I have already read it, yes. The brave man is not the who does not feel afraid. Those who are not afraid, who are not fearful, they are not brave. But who are then? Brave are those, but the who conquers the fear. Though conquer means to win, who win over the fear, who fight against the fear and then they win that race or that fight, those are the brave people. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. In this world, nobody has taken birth with hatred in their heart. No one comes with that. Even means when somebody takes birth, when a baby comes to this world, that time that baby does not know anything about the world, what are the different emotions, but that we people of the world teach that baby whether to love or to hate someone. So here he says that nobody comes in this world with hatred in their heart with because of the color of the skin or the background or the religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. He says that the person who we should teach people to hate. When we can teach them hate, and if somebody learns hate, then surely that person can learn how to love also, because loving is easier than hating someone. Even in the grimmest time in prison, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards, perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to that reassure me and keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. He says that when he was in prison, he and his comrade means people who were supporting him, his group. So that time he learned that he could see there in his grimmest time, grimmest means the serious, more serious, when he was at the baddest time or the worst time of him. So that time he could see there was one spark in the eye of that guard who was that for even for 1 second when he could see that humanity was there in his eyes, he was reassured that yes, what I am doing and what my people are doing, we are on the right path, and yes, we have to do it. And yes, as he continued the fight and finally he had won, and this is the chapter that where we are witnessing the achievement by him. In life, every man has twin obligations. Now he come back to humanity, and with every man, he had to, all man had two obligations. Obligation means being thankful of. So he says that two lives we have to survive together. We are living, we are obliged, we are thankful for two things or two people. What are they? According to his own inclination and abilities, and that obligation are according to his own inclination means closeness, what we like, a likeness, and abilities and talent or ability, what we can do. So these are the two things which makes us to perform different kind of duties. But in a country like South Africa, it is almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of those obligations. He said that in this world everybody had two kind of obligation, but here in South Africa, if somebody is of South Africa, he could not follow both of the obligations. Why? Let's see why. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. Yes, this is the reason. He says that when a person of South Africa want to survive or obliged to for two things, he is punished and he is isolated. Isolated means separated from others as a punishment. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of scenery and rebellion. So the person, whoever finds that he want to become a human, he want to become a family man, he is punished because of his color, and he had to become a rebellion. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. He says that in the beginning he felt that his family was very important to him, but as he grew, he started living for others or feeling for others. Then he found that his obligation towards his country was making him separated and non dutiful for his own family. So he could not become a good son, a brother, or a father and a husband. I was not born with a hunger to be free. When he took birth, he did not know what is freedom, or he never wanted to be free. I was born free because at birth everybody is free. I was born free, free in every way that I could know, free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast maize under the stars and ride the broad backs of snow moving bulls. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man and God. So he remembers that when he was a child and he had just some activities to do, like running in the field, swimming in the water, or obeying his parents, that time he was free. He felt that everything is free. He was not a kind of slave, or there was no trouble in his life, because till that time everything, whole surrounding, was free for him. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. And then when he was at teenage, boyhood means after that, when he was very small child, that time he was feeling that he had no trouble in feeling freedom. Then after some time when he grew up, and then he realized that that freedom that he thought that he was always free, that was kind of illusion only. Illusion means something that you can only imagine, but it is not reality. You think that it is real, but it is not. It is just your thinking or imagination. So he says that as he was growing, that time he began to know that no, he was not free. And then the hunger for freedom came to his mind. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. Then, as he was growing, he wanted freedom only for himself. What was the freedom that he wanted? Sometimes he wanted to stay out at night, he wanted to read the books whichever he liked, or so on. But these were not given to him. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, or marrying and having a family. The freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. When he really grew up, like being a human or an adult, that time he wanted such kind of freedom which he found that actually they were restricted for him. He wanted to read, he wanted to earn, he wanted to improve his life, he wanted to get married, and so on. So there were many things that he wanted, but which was restricted, and there was obstructions there. He could not follow all his willings. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. When he saw the things around him, he found that this was not only his own situation, but he saw that all others, his brothers and sisters, means the people like him who were dark complexion, they were also facing the similar kind of oppressions. So he found that not only he was not freed, but others also lacked freedom that time. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. As I said, looked like I did means complexion. According to him, those who were looking like him, those who had dark complexion like him, all of their freedoms were curtailed. Curtailed means reduced. Their freedom was reduced. They did not have privilege to read, to earn, or to grow themselves. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and then when he realized that what is the system there, he started or he joined African National Congress. And that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. Then he decided that I want freedom not only for myself but all of my people, all those who looks like me. It was the desire for freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life loving man to live like a monk. These all are the explanation of his own situation. How he, which kind of person he was. He was a loving person, he was a family man. He just wanted dignity for himself and others. But when he saw that his whatever his desire was not given to him, he started becoming rebellious, like a criminal, and he started living his life like a monk. A monk does not have his home. They sacrifice their home and family for some religious purpose, but he says that he has left each and everything, all the desires of his life, for the people of South Africa. I am no more virtuous or self sacrificing than the next man. But I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedom I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. Sometimes he felt that he had that potential or freedom to enjoy some of the joy in his life. But he decided, no, how can I celebrate my joy when the people who are my own friends, my own brothers and sisters, they are deprived of it, when they cannot enjoy their life? How could I do this? So, this was his thinking, for which he has left each and everything. Freedom is individual. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. He says that when he thought that when there is a chain on one person, it means that chain is for all. Chain here means the restriction, oppression. When somebody says that no, you can't do this, this is not for you. So this kind of restriction, when it was on one person, any one dark person was oppressed by white person, it means that kind of oppression, that torture is not only for one but all of his kind. And when that kind of chain is on all of them, it means that was for him also, for Nelson Mandela too. So this was his thinking. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Wow, this is a beautiful one. Oppressed means the person who is tortured. Suppose you give a slap to someone, so the person who got slapped, he is oppressed one. And oppressor is those who gave the slap. So you are the oppressor. And Nelson Mandela says that the oppressor must be liberated. He should be freed. He thinks that not only the people, that dark people who were oppressed, they were in sorrowful condition, but according to him, those who are oppressing, who are the oppressor, the white complexioned ones, they are also under the slavery. They are not free. So what kind of slavery they are in? A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. According to him, the person who is oppressing someone he is the slave of hatred. So he must be taken out from that condition of hatred, and he should be freed from it. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow mindedness. It is about that oppressor. He is narrow minded and he is prejudiced. So, prejudice and narrow mindedness, all these are the conditions of hatred which have locked that person. I am not truly free if I am taking away some else's freedom. He feels for himself only that suppose I have taken away freedom of someone, it means that I am also oppressed by myself. I cannot be freed because there is something in my mind which is telling me that you have to oppress someone, you have to torture that man. So what is this? This mentality has made me a slave of that mentality. Just as surely as I am free when my freedom taken from me, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. So, according to Mandela, not only oppressed people, but the people who are oppressing, they are also not free. So, for him, his aim of the life was not that he will set free the dark complexioned one, but he wanted freedom for all the people of his land. All the citizens of South Africa had to be free from a bad condition, a bad system, which was called apartheid. And for this, he has fought so long that for 30 years he was in prison. Nelson Mandela was in jail for about 30 years, and he continued his rebellious activities, and he was always against the apartheid, and he had a comrade, as he said, that he had a group who were working to support, to against, to work against apartheid. And finally, after so much struggle, he won when the day on 10th May 1994, when he took oath, a pledge, and became the president of South Africa for the first time, that a man, non-white person, became the president of South Africa. It was a great history in the world record. So this is what we have not only just read the chapter, but we should learn from him, that when you have something in your mind and you are determined to do that, nothing can leave you from getting the success. Yes, you have to go through many things. There are always ups and downs in everybody's life. When you see around you and you see that your people, the people who are the citizens of your country, if they are not happy, it is your duty to make them happy. You cannot separate yourself from them. You cannot see or think that okay, leave them, I am at happy stage, I am happy with it. No. So we should learn from such great people how they have lived the life. They have lived their life for the betterment of all human beings, for the dignity of humanity. Okay, so this was a very long chapter. I hope you have understood this. If there is any kind of query, kindly write there, and I am there to answer your questions, and whether it is useful to you or not, if I need to improve something, kindly, if you have any suggestion, I am there. Thank you.